Hey guys, Coach Sam here coming at you live. It's Thursday, February 29th, 2024, and today we're smashing boulders like shoulders. All right, guys, so to get you started today, we have our shoulder prehab. It's going to be 3 rounds of 30 banded shoulder height external rotations per arm, 10 single arm Arnold presses with a 3-second negative, and a 30-second tabletop hold. So for the banded external rotations, you can either conduct them with your a band around a power rack where you're moving your arm from internal to external rotation, or you can also perform it in a manner where you pull the band towards you and kind of open up your shoulder that way, depending on if you what may be bothering you, what you need to open up. For that single arm Arnold press, feel free to use a dumbbell or a kettlebell for loading, and then the tabletop hold. You get in that position and really try to open up your scapula and your shoulders there, and take some time to do that because we're going right into our heavy mechanical loading movement of the day today, which is going to be a seated pin press or Z press off of boxes. You're going to be building up over 5 sets to a top set of 6 reps. So for loading and setup for this, if you're going to do the traditional seated pin press route, if you have a power rack, you can set the pins up at about nose height, and you can conduct your pressing from there. So on this, you're going to conduct a pressing movement from basically a dead stop. So you're going to conduct a press, you're going to come back down, reset for a second, and can you continue that until you reach the required amount of repetitions for the specific set we're talking about. Secondly, if you don't have access to a power rack with pins, you can also perform a Z press either off of boxes, or you can do it from the squat rack itself. So for the Z press off boxes, you can set up 2 boxes side by side. You can sit down, make an L shape with your body, and you can perform the pin press from the boxes in a Z position in the same manner. Or you can also make that L position, scoot up against a squat rack, and take the bar right out of the J cups there. And then alternatively, if you are in a club gym and have access to a Smith machine, feel free to take the safeties up on the Smith machine, and you can form your pin presses that way as well. All right, guys, moving on for our metabolic stress work. It's going to be your dumbbell, kettlebell, press death sets. So this is going to be 3 rounds, and each of the rounds is to failure, and each round is comprised of the following. It's 1 heavy max set to failure. I'm recommending 53 or 36-pound kettlebells for men and women. The second portion of the round is going to be a failure set with 36 or 24s. And then finally, a lighter set with a 24s or 16s. Remember, we're taking those each to failure, which failure means there's a mechanical breakdown in your inability to complete the next rep. And so we want you to transition pretty quickly between these 3 different weights here. So try to set up an area where you have access to all of them and you're not taking any more than probably 15 seconds at max to set the dumbbells down, pick the next set of dumbbells or kettlebells up, and transition and go right there again. So for setup for this, you can perform this standing, or alternatively, if you like some bracing and stability, you can perform this seated on a box. Or if you have access to an incline bench, feel free to put that bench on an incline so you can have some back support as you're pressing, so you don't have to worry about any lumbar compromise if you are seated or standing there. All right, moving on. So we're going to introduce a new complex this week, front raise Anarchy. So I actually found this on Christian Thibodeau's Instagram. And if you guys aren't following him, I highly recommend it. He's a wealth of knowledge and an old T Nation contributor, if you guys used to follow that blog, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So this front raise Anarchy complex is going to be 3 different positions. You can use a easy bar or a straight bar. So watch the video. You're going to be performing 3 different positions, with the first position being from the bar straight out in front of you to about 45 degrees to straight overhead for 6 to 8 reps. Then you're going to sit back on an upright bench, and you're going to be performing reps from your bottom position of your hips to straight in front of your shoulder to failure. And then position 3 is going to be standing, to where you're going to be performing reps from the bottom position all the way to straight out in front of you to failure. So you're going to be performing that for 3 sets. I highly recommend you start extremely light, because this is going to creep up on you pretty quickly from a compounding fatigue perspective. All right, guys, and then moving on to our final metabolic stress piece of the day is going to be the shoulder triangle burner. So for this, it's going to be 3 giant sets, and 1 giant set's going to include 20 dumbbell high pulls directly into 15 bent over reverse flies and 10 standing side lateral raises. So for this, you can perform this with three different sets of dumbbells, going from heavier to lighter. You're gonna probably perform your heaviest load with those dumbbell high pulls, going into the 15 bent over reverse flies, and then finally those 10 standing side lateral raises. So for different loading options here. So for the dumbbell high pulls, you can also substitute kettlebells for kettlebell high pulls. You can also substitute a rope high pull on a cable column if you have access to one. For the bent over reverse flies, you can do those standing in a bent over position, or you can do it in chest supported if you'd like a little more stability. And then for the standing side lateral raises, you can do those with dumbbells standing. You can also do them seated with dumbbells, again, if you'd like some stability, or if you have access to a side lateral machine at a club gym, you can also substitute that as well. Just make sure you're set up support stability to move through all of those movements in that giant set relatively quickly with limited rest in between, because we're looking for the metabolite buildup in your shoulders there for this final metabolic stress piece of the day. All right, guys, and then moving on for our conditioning work, you have JT for your CrossFit option. We have some grunt work with some body weight lunges and Russian kettlebell swings with a heavy bell. And then for energy system development, you have a 10-minute AMRAP of a 200-meter run and 10 burpees. We have some ring mountain climbers for our optional core work. You have your Thunder Broga for some good recovery. If you guys are in our 30-day shred program, make sure you're doing your check-ins every single week, as well as your fasted cardio depletion work. If you guys are on Train Heroic or be on the whiteboard, make sure you're hitting on myself and Coach Kenny. And the last thing I want to talk about for today is I'm wearing a shirt. You can see here, it says it's Warrior WOD. So this is an outreach program that Thunder Bro is working with a nonprofit organization that's specifically focused on assisting veterans with PTSD through exercise and nutrition prescriptions. So for those of you that may have served in the military in the past and are struggling with any PTSD issues, feel free. You can reach out to me directly on social media or reach out to Warrior WOD. I know the owner, or excuse me, the president of the foundation pretty well. He's a former Marine and is very invested in, trying to make sure there's as much outreach as possible. So again, take a look at Warrior WOD. It's a great foundation for folks that would like to utilize, exercise and nutrition to really help battle any type of, mental health issues they have going on. So with that, guys, I hope you have a great shoulder day. See you next time.